Hello guys and welcome back to our channel. Today we're gonna talk about exhale diving, or more specifically about FRC diving. Why I distinguish between FRC diving and exhale diving? Because there is also a RV diving, and if you don't know what these words mean, you don't know what FRC means, you don't know what RV means, check out my previous video where I was explaining different lung volumes. You're gonna find all information there. But in short, FRC, functional residual capacity, it is when you inhale, passively exhale, and the amount of air which left in your lungs, this is a FRC. So this is FRC. So you inhale actively using your muscles, and then you relax your muscles, and then the air push out from your lungs. You don't actively exhale, because then it's going to be a different story. So you just passively exhale, passively release the air. This is a FRC. So today we're going to talk about how to do FRC diving, why to do this type of diving, and what is the danger of such diving, what you need to be careful of. And before we continue, my name is Sergey, I'm a freediving instructor trainer, and in this channel I'm helping you to become a better and safer freediver. So why freedivers do such type of diving? Reason number one, FRC dives helps to work on your depth adaptation. Let's say you are a relatively deep freediver, let's say your maximum depth 50-60 meters. But currently you are somewhere where the maximum depth is, let's say, 20 meters. So it's going to be pretty hard for you to train your adaptation, to improve your adaptation for the depths, or to even increase it by diving just for 20 meters. This is why I think in the past freedivers invent this practice when they passively exhale on the surface and then start their dive. So how it looks like, imagine I'm on a float, I'm doing my relaxation breathing before the dive, I inhale, passively exhale, and then start my dive. So one more time, it is improve my depth adaptation. It also allows me to work on my equalization, because remember, we use different equalization practices to dive to a different depths, and if you're planning to dive deep, you want to improve your deep equalization. And when you're diving in FRC, this is how you can work on, again, if you don't have a depth. And also guys, remember, even if you have access to the like deep water, let's say you have access to 50-60 meters, there is only a few dives, a few deep dives which you can do in one single session. Let's say you're diving to 60 meters, maybe you're gonna do it once, then you're gonna have a really long surface interval, and then maybe you're gonna do it second time. But unlikely you're gonna do it more than 2 times, right? And even if you're diving more shallow, let's say you're diving to 40 meters, probably your surface interval is going to be pretty long, right? It's going to be maybe 10 minutes or maybe even longer, maybe 12 or 15 minutes. So this is why if you want to work on depth adaptation, it makes more sense to dive shallower, to dive with the FRC, but you can do more such dives. And again, how it works, remember, if you start so if you start with the FRC dives, you have a less air in your lungs, and this is why your lungs going to be compressed much more compared to diving with a full inhale, right? So let's say you're diving with a full inhale and your lungs gradually getting smaller. But if you start your dive already with a partial lungs, then your lungs is going to be smaller much faster. So again, this is the reason why freedivers do FRC dives, in a way to improve their depth adaptation. And one more reason why freedivers do FRC dives is to work on different techniques, let's say on a free fall. Again, imagine you have access to 20-meter depths, right? So, I don't know, like you are somewhere where the maximum depth is 20 meters. And if you start free falling, let's say from 15 meters, then it's going to be only like 5 meters of free fall. It's going to be pretty hard to work on your free fall position if you have a chance to have it only for 5 meters. And if you do FRC dives, you have a less air in your lungs. This is why you're going to be more negative buoyant, and this is why your free fall is going to be much early. So these are the main 3 reasons why people do FRC diving: to improve their depth adaptation, to work on the equalization, and to work on certain aspects of their technique. Okay guys, this is let's say the reason why freedivers do FRC dives. Now let's talk about the danger of FRC dives. So as I said, FRC means you partially exhale on the surface. And now it means that your lungs have less air and there is a chance to have a such injury as a lung squeeze. So guys, if you don't know what is a lung squeeze, I'm planning to do the video about this in the next few weeks, but with a really short explanation, it is when the lung tissues is damaged and then the blood from blood vessels is penetrate inside your respiratory system. If you're diving with partial exhale, which is FRC, then the chance to have a lung squeeze is gonna be on a shallow depths. So let's say if you're diving with a full lungs, this is how we're teaching in general freediving courses, that your lung squeeze theoretically can happen around 40 meters or deeper. But if you do FRC dives, the lung squeeze can happen much earlier, on a much shallow depths. So guys, this is one of the risks of FRC, to have a lung squeeze on the shallow depths. It also, you need to be much more concerned about your technique, about your equalization technique, that you're not using aggressive movement, let's say for reverse packing, etc. You need to be more careful about how you're turning, etc, etc. So FRC dives should be done with more awareness what is going on. Ideally, you don't want to have contractions at all, or maybe really soft and gentle, so maybe just a couple, but you don't want to do FRC dives and have massive contractions, because in this case the chances of having lung squeeze are going to be higher. Again, it's not guaranteed that you're going to have a lung squeeze for sure, but the chances are going to be higher. Okay guys, this is a danger of the FRC, one of the dangers. Another danger is obvious as well. You start with less air in your lungs, it means you start with less oxygen. It means that your dive duration is going to be much smaller before you have any hypoxic event. This is why just be more careful. So be more careful about FRC dives. So guys, how I teach FRC on my courses, I start teaching FRC only on the master course, and we start diving really shallow first, just to develop correct practices, to be a little bit more softer, a little bit more fluid, a little bit slower, to avoid any potential risks when freedivers is going to start diving deeper in the future. Also guys, one more problem with FRC, which some instructors, instructor trainers, they specify, that with FRC it's hard to do exactly the same exhale all the time. So for example, I give you a couple of examples. So let's say I'm gonna inhale, and let's say I start the dive like this. The next time I'm gonna inhale and do more exhale. And sometimes you can have a really big difference between one FRC dives and another in terms of how much air you have in your lungs. This is why I'm always emphasize to my students, don't be really dependent on the depths, on your maximum depths, let's say with FRC. How it can look like. So for example, you do FRC less than passive exhale, and then I don't know, let's say you reach 15 meters and you're yeah, I can dive next time to 15 meters as well. But the next time you inhale and exhale more. So now if you try to dive to 15 meters again, you're gonna have much more stress on your lungs. So this is why guys, be more aware of your sensation when you do FRC dives. If you're feeling that, oh, this is a little bit more pressure than it used to be, just stop shallow. Don't always try to dive to your planning depths. Again, maybe your normal FRC depth is going to be, let's say, 15 meters. But if on your next dive you dive, let's say you reach 11 meters and you're already feeling that the pressure is too high, alright, maybe you exhale too much and maybe you need to stop much early. So one more time, don't always try to achieve your planning depths, because with FRC it's really easy to exhale a little bit more than you normally do, and then your lung compression is going to be much harder. As I said, This is why some freedivers, some freediving instructors, they don't like to do FRC. They like to do RV diving. This is when you exhale, like when you do like full exhale. We're gonna discuss this type of diving on the next video. In my opinion, FRC can be safe. I mean, in my opinion, FRC is safe if you applying the correct approach. So you progress much slower compared to your like normal progression. So you don't try to dive every time like deeper. You more aware of your feeling. As soon as you start feeling pressure like more than you feel normally, you have to like stop the dive and go to the surface. For whatever reason, if you feel more pressure than normal, you don't want to continue your dive. So this is a few points which is going to help you to do FRC dives, improve your adaptation, work on your free fall, work on your equalization, and be absolutely safe. As I said, I'm usually starting practicing FRC only with my masters, and normally at the end of their master course, not at the beginning. Ideally, I recommend don't do FRC training before you comfortably dive, let's say up to 30 meters. The 30 meters is not like a fixed number. Maybe it's going to be 35 or 27, but the goal is not to start doing FRC too early, because if you're doing too early, there is a higher chance that you're going to have a different injuries, more likely like lung squeeze, because probably your equalization is not perfect yet, probably your relaxation is not perfect yet, etc, etc, etc. So this is why, guys, again, if you want to do FRC diving, don't start too early, don't start practicing too early. Just do your normal full inhale dives, improve your technique, improve your relaxation, improve your comfort zone, and then in the future you can start applying this advanced technique to have a further improvement in your freediving. Okay, guys, hopefully this video is going to be useful for you. I hope I didn't miss some important parts. If I find out that I did, so maybe I'm going to make one more video. Again, if you like this video, don't forget to click the like button, and I will see you next time.